And today we're going to talk about how men face it. Welcome to Financial Fridayz. I'm Jason Bailey, your host, and I'm Manager Risk and Compliance from VM Wealth Management. And I'm joined here today by Robert Foster. He's Senior Manager Business Development at VMBS. And today we're going to discuss some stuff about money, how men manages their money, some of the unique challenges that men may face, and share some tips. So right after the break, we're just going to jump right in. Welcome right back. Now, before we jump right in, I just want to remind our viewers that if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and our team will respond to you. So Robert, let's talk about a few things, differences and issues that men may face while managing their money. So tell me about some of them.
Well, thanks, Jason, for that question. A very, very interesting question. From a societal standpoint, where men are concerned, men are seen as providers. In addition to that, not only from a societal standpoint are they seen as providers, but from a spiritual standpoint, it is argued, and the scriptures have also backed that up. Because, the Bible says that if a man can't take care of his family, he's worse than an infidel. So coming from that perspective and backdrop or background, we note that that has helped to influence society. We also note that growing up predominantly in most homes, stable homes, structured homes, normally it would have been the men who would have gone out to provide, and women stay home and take care of the home. So that pressure in and of itself has certainly continued in society. But the rules have somewhat changed slightly, given the brokenness in terms of home. But in another aspect of it too, not only from a societal standpoint does men face pressure to provide for their families, but in terms of even their own desires, they have struggles to take care of their parents. They have struggles to finance education for themselves and for their children. They have also struggles to deal with finances in relation to how they save and how they budget. And this in and of itself to lead to anxiety. Some men sometimes face mental health issues when it comes on to money. They face the whole aspect of being inadequate. Am I able to provide adequately for my family? These are some of the hot topics that surrounds men and money. Another aspect of it as well is that when it comes on to risk, men are predominantly, based on studies, are normally the tendency is for them to take higher risks. So they would invest in instruments or facilities that carry a higher risk. But the greater the risk is sometimes the greater the return, but is also the higher the loss. So we find that from studies, men normally are bigger risk takers. So that's some of the key elements surrounding how men are positioned with their money.
Wow, you hit the nail right on the head. But one of the things, Robert, so they always have this term that they say, man and man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one of the things that you find is that men are reluctant to getting help.
Mm-hmm.
So men has this ego thing. Sometimes, they may have this ego thing where they don't want to seek help, they don't want to get help,
Mm-hmm.
and their approach to dealing with money may be different. They may be more impulsive to spending, they want to have these luxurious cars and houses and flashy things. So what's your take on that?
Well, it's a very interesting point that you made mention of. When it comes on to money, everyone has to use money. However, when it comes on to money, based on our background, we have a different appreciation of money. So persons who are more affluent than others, or persons who are less fortunate, they might not have the same appreciation for money. So, for example, in the financial space, having gone out and observed business leaders and businesses, you find that, for example, the Chinese, they normally encourage, their children to be integral in relation and response to how the business is operated. Whereas, for example, from someone who is less fortunate, maybe a farmer, then normally the mindset is that they don't want their son or daughter to be like them, but not knowing that, if you approach it from a more prudent point of view, you can tailor your farming to be one of a multi-million dollars or billion dollars industry or occupation. So background has some significance to do with it. Also, based on one's own experiences and relationships in terms of how you deal with money, one's education. Again, you made mention of the fact that, men sometimes think that we know it all, but the truth is we don't know it. So without proper education in relation to your finances, you're going to do things that will, a big deterrent to your family's success, your family's growth, or hinder your own development. So having a proper understanding, a proper education is critical in terms of how you see money and how you manage your money. And that's why we at VM, we are here to help. That's why we are here to help you not only to talk about money, but we are concerned about your financial well-being. We want to transform your everyday. So we come to the point, Jason, that men, as I said before, are more inclined to take riskier ventures. They are more inclined to do riskier investments, and it impacts even their purchasing behavior. So you will tend to find that a man, based on affordability sometimes, and also not even can afford it, but for image, they rather take something that purchase a vehicle that is far expensive, and remember their income can't manage it, but just because of their appeal and how they want to feel and look, but to the detriment of their own pocket. So these are some of the things that we see happen in terms of why men continue to find themselves in these kinds of situations where they are, encountering financial difficulties.
And you touched on a point, really, education. And while you were talking about it, I remembered my godfather, when I was younger, and he was a farmer. And I saw him as a very rich farmer because he had probably 5 different houses in different parishes. Everywhere he had little farms, a lot of cows. I used to go out and, help him milk the cows at some point. And the education was key. He was also a pastor, and he was a brilliant person.
Right.
And, he also looked at managing money,
Right.
Even from that standpoint, he was about investing in money, providing for his family. He had a family of three children and his wife and himself. And, he knew what he was doing because he was financially educated. And I want to tell you that he was with VM, back then, And one of the things that I want you to, to share a little bit about, is, so you've been talking about how men, approach money, but what are some of the differences in approaches that, men may take from women? What are some of those differences?
Well, in terms of differences that men may take from women, in terms of how they approach money, women love to probe based on observation. So I would recommend that men, probe a little bit more, look at how it will benefit them in terms of whatever they are going to invest in. Look at how it can add value to their lives. So, for example, in observation and observing, I recognize that men, they would rather spend money on, girls. They would spend money on gambling, and very, very interesting. I had a conversation the other day with a young man who, takes care of my vehicle. And when I went to the car wash, I asked him, just to see how, he approach and how he handles money. So I regularly, I see him when I go, I see him, the first thing he have a spliff in his mouth. And I ask him the question, how much is it that you spend per day on the weed? And, so to my surprise, him say, sir, I don't really buy it per day, I buy it per week. And so I asked him, how much you spend per week? He say, spend $2,000 per week on the weed. I said, really? And he say, yeah, man. You have to make sure, boy, keep himself, chill and hype up and ready to approach the work. So I say, how how many weeks in a year? I tell him, say 52. So I say, you spend $2,000 per week on weed, and you have 52 weeks in the year. You know how much money that for the year? He said, no. He said, I said, that's $104,000. He said, really? But I could have buy a bike. And I said, no, man, you have to take care of your money and know how, your money is important to you. So again, sometimes man may see that because they may not be earning much, but when you really look into the nitty-gritty and get in granular in terms of their lives, you realize that, they're pretty much throwing away their money. And I went a little further and asked him, so how you manage through the day? So you drink? Him say, yeah, man, me have to buy a shot of rum every day. So I ask him, how much you spend for the rum per day? He said, $200. I said, that's 365 days times 200. How much money that? I said, that's 70 something thousand. He said, I say, yeah. And you combine the two of them, you could have buy your bike. And him say, boy, I never see it like that. And he sat there. And I said, come open an account at VM, man, and save your money. Don't bother buy so much weed and, drink so much rum. But put a little aside. And him say, boy, I'm going to do it, because you really open my eye to this. So it's a matter of your approach probe. It's a matter of how you see where you can add value to your own development. So these are some of the things that I would recommend to men.
And Robert, so that's it's so interesting. The person you're speaking to, they're looking at the short term,
exactly,
not the long term.
Exactly.
And even for us, men may do it similarly, where they may look at the now, not looking at the long term. Or sometimes you may have men looking at, long-term financial planning, but not necessarily looking at the short-term needs. So talk to us a little bit more about long-term financial planning, as well as some of the short-term financial goals that we have to meet.
All right. So there are different goals that you want to achieve from a long-term perspective and versus that of a short-term perspective. So the most fundamental principle that you need to understand in helping you to understand your long-term and your short-term goal has to do with financial education. And financial education is taking the time, investing yourself, educating yourself about your personal finances, which include budgeting, how much you earn versus how much you spend, investing in managing your debt. And this knowledge will empower you to make informed decision. And notice I say, you must probe a little bit. Earlier, like a woman like to probe, they like to ask questions. Men, we must get into the business of asking questions. So from a VM standpoint, right? Some of your long-term goals might include, you acquiring your home, right? You acquiring additional education in terms of advancing yourself academically. Or it could be that you want to, start a business. So in terms of you achieving these long-term goals, you have to ensure that you start in the short term to make sure that you can capitalize on these goals. So for example, we have workshops that we'll do to help you. So as I said earlier, you talk about your budget. Many of us, right, are guilty of the fact that we don't take the time out to look at our budget, what we earn versus what we spend. And it is important that we learn the principle be laid out by the richest man in Babylon. For those of you who don't know that book, you need to get it. The Richest Man in Babylon. So the Richest Man in Babylon outlines that whatever you earn, it is important that you take 20% for yourself. Well, for some persons who are Christians, they will say, make sure that you pay your tithe first, and then, you pay yourself first. Nothing is wrong with that. I endorse that as well. So it is important that whatever you earn first, right? You give 10% to God, you take 20% and pay yourself. You deserve it. You earn it, you deserve it. So pay yourself. The 70 or 80% that you have thereafter, use that to live within your needs, to take care of your expenses, and also to finance your home and do all the necessary stuff. So it is important that you start with a budget. You budget properly, your income versus your expenditure. Write it out. Because if you don't do that, sometimes you find yourself, overspending whilst you're under earning. And that's a critical component. Because, we don't want to find ourselves. When man have the money, them stress out,
True.
Them do all different kinds of things, because at the end of the day, them have to take care of them girl have to look good, care have to look good, pick me have to go to school. Sorry for the vernacular, but I'm very passionate about this. So they have all of these things. They have to take care of all of these things. And in the process, they have to take care of themselves. So have a budget. It's important that you have a budget. And in the budget, as I said, you pay yourself. In paying yourself, ensure that you put your money where your money can work for you. But at the same time, put your money where it is safe. Because you have a long-term goal that you want to accomplish, right? And at the same time, you don't want to derail yourself from that goal. So at VM, we not only help you, to educate you financially, but we want to guide you. So, I want to use this medium for those of you who don't have an iSave account. Now is a perfect opportunity to have an iSave account. Because when you save, for example, with the iSave, I'm a testament of it because I use the iSave account to pay my children's tuition, right, on a quarterly basis. So with an iSave account, you can use it to save for your vacation, you can use it for a down payment to your home, for your motor vehicle, or even to uplift yourself. So with an iSave account, you're starting at a minimum amount of 5,000. You can do it for 1 year, you can do it for 3 years, or you can do it for 5 years. Whatever your goals are, you can align it to that. So when you do that, you get a better return than what you put in your savings account, but it is safe, you're protected, and it will help you to accomplish your long-term goal. Because many persons come and say they want to buy a house, Jason. But the truth is they don't ready to buy the house because they don't think about the closing cost that you have, which is can be up to 5% of the loan amount, right? They don't think about the deposit, which is another 10% of the purchase price. But thanks that VM, we offer up to 97% financing for first-time home owners, right? So they don't think about these costs, the legal fees and all these things. How are you going to get it? Some persons, they might take an unsecured loan, which is not the best option, but it's better that you save for these expenses, that when you are ready to make your purchase, you are more prepared, you are more informed, and you can do so without a hassle, in fine style, with VM being your financial provider. So these are some of the things that you have to think about. Education. You can't just think about just your first degree. No. For you to have the necessary competitive edge or advantage, it's important that you continue to matriculate. Do look up studies. These short-term goals, they help you because the more you upskill yourself, you earn more money. It give you the ability to earn more rather, and put you in a competitive advantage. So these are some of the goals that you need to take into consideration as you seek to, manage your money and make sound financial decisions. In addition to your controlled spending, I want to recommend to our men as well that you need to look at your debt portfolio, see where you can save. So for example, if you have high credit card instruments or debt, ensure that it's out of the whack. Try your very best to consolidate some of those credit card debts, by taking equity in your home or from your home, and pay off those debts using your equity in your home. You can also look at consolidating additional debts that you have, but through a debt consolidation, which we provide at VM Building Society. In addition to that as well, I want to encourage us, men, try to avoid high interest payment financial companies. Look and ensure that you don't go that route. Try a cash secure loan from your investment. Lower interest rate, lower payments, and believe me, you don't have to worry about your money being going somewhere else, because at VM you're a safe institution, 145 years operating, and that you're certainly to benefit as a member. So these are some tips I want you to take advantage of as you move forward in your controlled spending and improving your financial well-being, because at VM we provide financial wellness, and that's what we do. We want to transform your everyday. Yes, Jason.
You spoke a lot about financial education, and since I've been at VM, I know we offer a lot of financial education. So tell us about some of them.
Yeah, so very, very, very important question, Jason. So at VM, we continue to support financial education, like through sessions like these. So we have Financial Fridayz, right? We have our financial education hub. We have our online series, so, so as I said, such as this. And we have school savers savings program, where we teach our children how to save. We have the VM Foundation, which offers mentorship program, right? And financial literacy workshops, and enterprise training, helping students to generate business desires, or business ideas rather, right? And this tie back into our financial education for our members, and also in our corporate social responsibility to our foundation.
Yeah. And even when you look at financial education, when you look at, like long-term planning, you have VM pensions that would offer retirement planning.
Definitely.
They teach you about
Mhm.
retirement planning. It's not
Right.
just a matter of you get a product and you just leave your money for retirement. You learn what is retirement planning.
Right.
You learn about ERS, which is approved retirement scheme. You learn
Definitely.
about the superannuation plan. You learn about things and at VM Wealth, that is where you grow your money. If you want to invest for the future, you want to look at some fixed income products, or you want to look at stocks, or go into different plans to grow your wealth over time. If you have short-term goals or even long-term goals, if you want to, how is your appetite for risk? Some of those things, and how do you want to manage your money to grow your money based on risk? Earlier you touched on risk and return. If you are okay with risk, then we have some products for you. If you're afraid of risk, we also have some products for you.
Most definitely.
So, here at VM, we have pretty much, once you have a need, a financial need, we have a financial solution, and that's very powerful.
We have you covered.
We have you covered.
Definitely.
So, Robert, we're about to wrap up, but do you have any closing words?
One of the things I want to encourage our men to do, when you come onto your finances, especially in this time, ensure that you exercise some level of control, right? What do I mean by that? Whatever you're going to purchase or you're seeking to do financially, ensure that it adds value to your life. From a long-term perspective, ensure that it adds value. Because money wasted today is not money that you're going to get back tomorrow.
True.
It's important that you align yourself and exercise some control spending. And as we go along, I said earlier, again, it is important that you also practice delayed gratification. And I want to say this: blessings delayed are not blessings denied, right? Blessings delayed are not blessings denied. So ensure you practice delayed gratification. Because sometimes when you wait a little bit, you might end up getting a better offer, a better deal, which can give you a better return, right? It's important as well to consider alternative ways to fulfill your desires without compromising your financial well-being, right? Consider alternative ways without compromising your financial well-being. So again, budget and save, right? Create a realistic budget, practice it, be consistent at it, and ensure that it becomes a lifetime habit. So these are some ways I want to encourage our men to practice and to be aware of.
All right, thank you. And what I would wrap up with, or what I would leave with, our viewers today, is always don't be afraid to seek advice. Financially, get some advice, speak to somebody, speak to an expert. I know about finances, I know about investing, but when I came and I came to the wealth advisor and I asked some questions and they guided me in the right path. They grew my money more than how much I thought I would have grown it, based on the questions that they asked, based on the products that they decided to recommend, that I saw the difference between what I could have earned and what I actually earned. And so I would tell everyone, definitely seek some advice from some of the experts.
Yeah.
So Robert, that's it for us for Financial Fridayz. For more support in achieving financial wellness, call 876-754-VMBS. That's